Okay, let's go right away. Again, Michael, it's what you're suggesting is an interesting thing, because you don't want it to look like you want it to look like you're wounded, but you're still going for it. Do you know what I mean?
At the time, people tend to forget Batman was the biggest movie of all time, most expensive movie. And there was a lot of people's careers riding on this thing, especially at the Warner Brothers end. A lot of money involved in this thing. The set at Pinewood Studios was spectacular. There was nothing like Gotham City.
I can't quite explain why movies like this are difficult to keep track of, except to say they are enormous. And I'm amazed at Tim and everyone else who worked on it. I mean, everyone else who worked on it, because everyone has to kind of keep up with it.
One of the things I think I had about this movie is I knew how big it was going to be. You know, I knew this. For instance, they had a good feeling about it, but in the area which I'm involved in it all, I don't care, but I mean, it also cost me some dough. They were totally unprepared for the level of the success of the movie.
It was Tim's vision. It was his eye. You know, once you bought that, you bought that eye. The question was, how much does it cost, and where can you make it less expensive? Not cheap, less expensive, or as inexpensively or as controlled as possible. And that brought us to England to do that.
It was a big movie, and there wasn't really the space at Warner's to do it, so there wasn't a lot going on in England. So Pinewood Studios seemed like a really prime candidate, because it had the space and it had a backlot area where you could build out on, which was nice. And it was, had the artists and talented people to make a project like that go. And for me, it's a way of sort of being away from all of the business side of it, trying to focus on the movie, which was important and good, and kind of away from all of the hype that was back in America about it. Because when you're making a movie, you don't like getting caught up in all that, because you have to make it. So I think it turned out the right place to do it.
I think a lot of it, I'm sure, was Anton first, who was an incredible, dark, interesting character. If you looked at Anton, he could have played a part in Batman very easily, well, as could Tim Burton. So you had these two guys, and you had Roger Pratt, who's a wonderful photographer. I guess really kind of balancing the two out a little bit, because Anton would go off and crazy ideas that sometimes weren't possible. His team were bringing back a bit. Tim had really wonderful ideas. He knew exactly the look he wanted.
It was a tough shoot during the winter of '88, December, a long night. So we used to be filming up on the Gotham streets, and you'd start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was already dark in England, and you'd film right through till 5 or 6 in the morning. It was still dark. You never saw daylight, and it went on for weeks on end.
It was a difficult shoot, because it was, for the entire shoot, it was a 6-day shoot. But I don't think I'd ever do it again, because I found it quite counterproductive. I mean, if you're shooting a movie, you're basically working every day anyway. So if you're shooting 6 days, though, you don't have really any time to prepare for the next week. So I kind of felt like a fighter in the middle of a fight who didn't have time to take a break, just take a step back. So it was a difficult shoot that way, and it was in the winter at night. So like for 3 months, I didn't think I saw daylight at all.
Once we got in production, the astounding thing to me about Tim was and is the unshakable central self-confidence and lack of fear that he has. When I watched him, this was part of the scuttlebutt, his Batman was the biggest production in history in England in terms of production costs and so forth and so on. And watching him, and you see this, I'm pretty low-key, you'd see it on me. You don't see pressure on this kid. I'm thinking, geez, this guy's in his early 20s. He's got the biggest budget in history. It's not even a factor. He just goes about his business and does it.
Being relatively